DW Africa Link.
Artificial intelligence is a tool, not a voice. That's what UNESCO emphasizes as the world marks Radio Day. Radio has always been human, real people behind the consoles telling you about the weather, the news, or what music is trending. Now that artificial intelligence, or AI, as it has come to be commonly known, is stepping into the studio, what opportunities and threats does it present?
So as a general radio DJ, for example, or a smaller radio station in, a rural community, for example, AI can help me to quickly scale to these initial 80%, so to say. It can help me automate or outsource at least tasks that are really repetitive, that don't require much human input, that don't require much of human originality or even creativity.
Stay tuned for this and more coming up shortly. I am Ajua Tinkrama Domina, and you're welcome to Africa Link, the podcast that connects you to the stories that matter.
Africa Link, every weekday here on DW.
How can you be so sure that the voice you're hearing right now is truly mine and not AI generated? And if it were AI, would it change how you feel about this program? Well, the good news is I am not AI, I am Ajua. And at DW, we follow a clear principle. We let you know when it's AI, so you're not deceived. But the world around us is moving fast, and AI is advancing in ways that make it harder to tell what's real and what's not. For many people, that blurred line is becoming a real concern. To mark World Radio Day, as someone who grew up loving radio, I can't imagine my favorite broadcasters being replaced entirely by technology. Yet, the conversation isn't only about replacement even. It's also about trust. Radio has always been one of the most intimate and trusted forms of media, as explained by these cab drivers on the streets of Accra in Ghana.
If you join me in my vehicle and my radio is on, it's mostly because I'm following the news or sports.
Apart from there,
The moment I spark my vehicle, I'm either listening to sports or news. Outside of that, I really do not have any other use.
As for radio, I think radio.
We mostly use the radio in all of our business because a lot happens the world over.
I was say it's radio no it's in the So yes, so I do listen to the radio most of the time. And it's very important to me because sometimes people come into your car and they keep some conversations with you, they keep having conversations with you. And then with those conversations, you see that they're trying to ask you things that are trending and stuff.
So if you don't listen to the radio, it will be difficult to have conversations with them. As a boat driver, it's very important.
Radio is very important to me, and not only to me, my customers, to people my passengers.
I'm a driver and I want to every time you are active or can no and for one and say.
Radio makes you active while you are driving. You are mostly paying rapt attention to what's happening and what's around your vehicle due to radio. And it helps you hear what's happening around the world.
Oh, I'm in Caterpillar radio.
Even in a Caterpillar, I will have a radio. If there's no radio in your vehicle, you will flare up easily. When you listen to the radio, things that happen from elsewhere, you get to hear it thanks to the radio. I listen to programs that are very educative as well. And that's why I have a radio in my vehicle. It's very important because it keeps you abreast with everything that's happening in the world around you.
You just listened to the voices of cab drivers in Accra. But how is AI reshaping this perception of radio across content production, distribution, audience interaction, and media ethics. That's what we are discussing today. And for this, I'm joined by Jasper Steinlein. He's editorial AI manager at DW based in Berlin. And DW's Eric Mawena Ekbeta joining us from Accra, Ghana. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Jasper, my first question goes to you. Would you say artificial intelligence is more of an opportunity or a threat to radio? Just so we set the context for this discussion.
It's a broad question. It depends on for whom. I understand that there's a lot of doom and hype in the AI conversation, not just in radio, but as a whole. There's a lot of great marketing and repackaging of already existing softwares under the AI label. A lot of promises for radio stations, for radio hosts and DJs that AI can solve their problems. For example, they tend to be notoriously short of time. They need to come up with original ideas on the spot. They need to deliver great reporting in real time. They need to be able to improvise. All these are core skills that AI most likely won't be able to replace. And then there's the larger implications of AI as a technology that is fundamentally flawed in many ways and is in many ways grounded in not yet resolved sustainability problems, social inequality problems. And yet there's a lot of doom that is making AI into something that as a fundamental technology or as a field of research, it is not, because its technical abilities are still very limited.
Do the advantages of using AI in radio outweigh the doom or the disadvantages?
It depends on whose behalf you're asking this question. So as a general radio DJ, for example, or a smaller radio station in, I don't know, a rural community, for example, AI can help me to quickly scale to these initial 80%, so to say. It can help me automate or outsource at least tasks that are really repetitive, that don't require much human input, that don't require much of human originality or even creativity. For example, very short weather segments, news segments that can be and played after hour, for example, on repeat. It can pick music or specifically search the web for the most attractive music or the hottest music in town and then cue it accordingly. So this is helpful for smaller radio stations, for local radio stations. Something that AI is not able to replace is these additional 20%. And as we all know, the most crucial moving of the needle, the most crucial work happens in exactly these 20%. And this is a place where it comes to play, to have an honest conversation with yourself, what you are trying to do by AI, what you are trying to give AI control over, and what you should never outsource to AI, and what exactly makes you stand out from AI and from a lot of AI-generated content as a human-centered radio station, as we are quickly approaching AI saturation amongst the audience. At least I believe so.
I think you partially agree with UNESCO to some extent that AI is a tool, but it's not a voice, or in this case, should not become a voice. But we've seen examples where AI has become the voice. I don't know if any of you remember the Polish radio in somewhere 2024, late 2024, which made headlines. They said hiring all its staff and replacing them with presenters, AI presenters. Are these fears that maybe not now, but in the near future, AI might be taking over the jobs of some radio presenters? Are they legitimate?
I'm not sure what became of the specific Polish station. I am aware that a lot of first adapters, or so-called first adapters, that quickly jumped onto deploying several AI technologies that were not necessarily ripe or had not developed their full potential yet, are now crawling back, are now tracing back and understanding like there's limits to what can be accomplished with this technology. So one of the core principles I'd say that would be useful for every radio station, every host to consider is don't use AI for the sake of using AI. I agree very much with the principle that AI should be a tool and that humans should be in control, if not in control. As we are approaching agentic AI, it should definitely be humans in charge of AI, and it should never be the other way around, that AI starts using you, starts outsourcing humans as a tool.
Interesting. And just to add that Polish radio station we're talking about, it ended its, programming just about a week after it began because of the public backlash. Not exactly because its experiment did not work, but there were so many backlash, even from journalists who had been fired from their job. But Mawina, let me bring you in at this point. In Ghana, are there concerns in the radio space about AI and its possibility of changing how radio has worked all this while?
I think if there really was a huge challenge for radio, perhaps podcast and new media tools will be what the concern has centered around, and not primarily the use of AI. A lot of radio programming has to do with personalities. And so, like you cited the example in Poland where outrightly all staff were being replaced by AI tools and what have you, that would be a bit of a difficulty, because even here in Ghana, local stations where they are speaking the local dialect tree, or there's Ga or Ewe, AI has not been able to adapt to fluently speaking languages like that for where relate and communicate with the proverbs and the sayings and the way things are said when these presenters use local language. And so to a great extent, and I cannot allowing your creativity come to bear. But recently, conversations have started where now media companies are saying that AI is a tool which you can use to make your work better. And so approach it as something that you can work with and don't be shy in using AI. Is a stage we are in right now. And confidently, I can say, having monitored, having spoken to persons who operate radio stations and work within radio stations, the concern is not a replacement, it's even now how they can embed AI tools in the broadcast and to make it better.
Right. Jasper, would you say trust for radio will be the same if we give AI a chance to do some of the things that humans were originally doing?
I would very much agree with Morena on this issue that AI cannot replace certain things that humans operating radio and specifically popular human radio talk show hosts can. As humans, we are hardwired for community. As humans, we are hardwired for a sense of belonging, for authenticity. As we are approaching this level of what I call AI saturation, meaning that AI generated or at least AI augmented content is spreading everywhere, and we're increasingly able to tell apart which is authentic content and with this synthetic or AI generated content for that matter, the role of the journalist, of the talk show host, of a charismatic anchor becomes even more unique and even more refined because we now have learned to perceive the human factor as something that is not readily available anymore, but exquisite. In a world where AI-saturated content is available everywhere and can be produced at zero cost, it is exactly that, a mass-produced good. But what can never be replaced is the authenticity, the charisma, the local knowledge of your specific radio community, the topics that are of interest for your specific audience, the parasocial relationship, or in some cases even real social relationship between the audience and the talk show host or the radio station, this fundamental connection, this relatability, this credibility, which very much pays into your good reporting, because your good reporting is only as accurate and as impactful enough as people who trust that your reporting is actually accurate.
I was actually asking about trust from the perspective of the listener. So I have seen a website currently advertising to people to start their own AI radio stations. Example is AI Radio Bot. When you go on that website, it provides you services like cloning the sound of voices. So if you have any voice, a presenter's voice that you want this AI tool to sound like, you just upload the voice and it will clone, it will make it sound exactly like that. It generates music artists and song name announcements. So for instance, when a DJ is on schedule or is on air, and it's telling listeners that, oh, so this upcoming song is sung by this person, or you just heard, Bruno Mars's song. This AI tool is able to do that. In its offering, it also states in which languages it operates. We have English, you have Portuguese, you have Spanish, Italian, and all of that. If I'm a listener and I'm finding out that apparently the music, the late night music show that I've been enjoying is actually AI operated, you don't think it would affect my trust?
Thank you for clarifying that. First of all, the research that is existing on this topic is still very limited, and it's pointing in an unclear direction. There is research suggesting that a younger audience might be more open towards synthetic content, and synthetic radio talk show voices are synthetic content at the end of the day. But there's also research indicating that most people struggle to tell apart whether they're listening to AI-generated content or an authentic voice. But when they find out, once they found out, they feel deceived. And they disengage with the content quickly, and they don't come back. So this certainly, I guess, is the answer to your question. People do not like being deceived, or not even actively deceived, but left in the dark of the nature of what they are consuming. At DW, for example, we have a legal framework that is coming to our help in this regard, because at DW, we are obliged to comply with the EU AI Act in all of our publishing languages, which requires us to transparently label every use of AI-generated content as AI-generated. So this means whenever we play a part of synthetically generated audio, be it music, be it a short voice note, be it synthetic generated speech that we have drawn from a third party, so to quote, and report on it. We have to label it accordingly so that our hosts, but also more importantly, our audience will be able to tell apart what exactly they are listening to, what exactly they are looking at any given time.
Right. Mawina, this is for you. Would you say that radio's trust and loyalty in this time and age is fading? I'm asking this because in 2023, Afrobarometer did a survey that said that among 10 Ghanaians, you find more than 4 people who are shifting from consuming radio or using radio as a primary source of information to using social media and the internet. On the ground, do you see this shift happening? And are we seeing that in the near future, radio may lose the significant relevance it holds in the Ghanaian media space?
Well, among the younger folk, there appears to be that decline in terms of an appreciation and the use of radio. Even in fact, a lot of the people I managed to engage were of the older bracket who had it in their vehicles and some Uber drivers and the likes. There is increasingly the preference to resort to social media, and that's very accurate. But amidst all of that has also been the concern about what is real and what is not. The challenges with misinformation, disinformation, fake news, and the use of AI-generated content, which people cannot readily verify. Where that leaves a number of these individuals is that if they are minded, they resort to traditional media outlets in seeking to verify the veracity of what it is that they've seen online or not. Also, increasingly, we're seeing radio programs being, and because a lot of technology has been introduced as well, programs that ran traditionally on airwaves now are streaming on Facebook. And outside of the fact that it's streaming on Facebook or other social media platforms, there is a deliberate attempt to clip portions of it and put it on social media as well so that you can get audience from there. So what I see is radio or managers of radio stations here in Ghana adapting to the trends and the changing dynamics in terms of listenership and chasing listeners on social media. And so, yes, a lot of these new handsets, mobile phones will come without radio, but now they're seeking to make radio available on your social media applications if you cannot use a radio set, or if your phone doesn't come with a radio where you can listen in as well. And so, yes, the trust has waned a bit, but there are ingenious ways being found to chase the younger generation with content from radio so that they can be a part of it. And so Valentine's Day is coming. A number of radio stations are doing connections, live programming and all of that, where they call people or are pranking people. And these clips are doing very well amongst young people, even though they didn't particularly tune in to listen.
Here is my last question to the both of you. Mawina first, and please do this for me in 30 seconds. We've run out of time. Mawina, if you look at the next 5 years, do you think, or how do you picture the future of radio being defined in the light of artificial intelligence?
If I stay just within the Ghanaian context, not much changes because Ghanaians love their personalities. I've had people switching from one station to the other because the presenter they love moved from one station to the other. And so there is really no fear of AI being able to replace presenters here in Ghana. What best will happen is presenters and persons who work with radio adapting to tools which can provide them real-time information, real-time updates to aid in their broadcast work. But radio, I believe, will live forever.
Right. And Jasper, final word from you. What do you want listeners to leave this conversation with as far as radio and AI and this year's World Radio Day is concerned?
I'd like to highlight the importance of transparency. For example, at DW, we have a clear framework, the editorial AI guidelines that provide some insights for our journalists, talk show hosts, producers, all of our staff on where they can and cannot use AI. And in terms of generative AI, that means AI-generated audio, video, imagery, sometimes in text. It needs to be labeled clearly. So whenever you're consuming content that has been published by DW, you can trust that it will be transparent and that it will be very clear what exactly you're looking at, what exactly you are listening to at any given time. Is it AI-generated synthetic content or is it authentic content? And I think this is a great standard to go from.
Thank you so much. I have enjoyed this conversation. Jasper Steinlein, he's editorial AI manager at DW. You also heard DW's Eric Mawina-Egbeta. Thank you both for your time. Just to remind you, World Radio Day is celebrated every year on February 13, as proclaimed by UNESCO in 2011 and adopted by the UN General Assembly in 2012. The official theme for World Radio Day 2026 is Radio and Artificial Intelligence, highlighting how AI is reshaping content production, distribution, audience interaction, and media ethics. What is your take on AI's integration into radio? Share your thoughts with us on Facebook at DW Africa. Listen on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. And subscribe to our DW Africa YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. This show was co-produced and edited by Isaac Mugabe. I am Ajua Tenkrama Domina. Many thanks for listening.
DW, made for mind.